Oh, choo choo choo. Yeah, 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 yeah. Oh, oh, hi there. I see that you have traveled far and wide to get here. Let's be serious. Actually, no. I believe this is the first time you're even attempting at creating your character, but worry not. My name is Luca Martinelli, and I will do my best to make you understand all the dynamics necessary to understand what's on this page and how to start making your character. So, let's go right into it. The first thing I would do when creating my character is just whip out the name. Don't get yourself lost in this. Oh my god, what should my name be? I have no idea. I don't know, I'm confused. Just don't worry. My name is Luca Martinelli. I will take it with no stress and I will make a pun of that. Martin X Luke sounds amazing to me. I would go ahead and write it down, the character name, right here on the top right. I would write Martin X Luke. Sounds amazing. Next thing I would do is probably whip out and understand what the heck are these things down here. What are the 7 boxes, right? They look so weird. I will tell you these are ability boxes. Essentially, you're going to be putting your ability modifier and your ability bonuses in here. There's a box with a little circle in it. It depends to you and your preference. You can either put your ability modifier or your ability number either in the box or in the little circle. So you can put the bonus in the circle, you can put the bonus in the box and switch them around. It doesn't change a thing. It's up to you. First choice of freedom that you can do. Now, let's move forward. How do we fill these little 7 boxes here and what are they? These are your ability scores, right? What is an ability score? Look at this, just read them. Strength, dexterity, constitution, intelligence, wisdom, charisma. These are basic things that any humanoid creature can do. Any living being, right? Strength, it's just the ability to, attack strong, move heavy things. Dexterity, dodging, being stealthy. Constitution, heck. You drink a bottle of poison, I'm pretty sure if you have good constitution, it's not gonna be an issue. If you got low constitution, you dead, bro. Now we go forward and we look at intelligence, wisdom, and charisma. These are things that most of the spellcasters use, but also intelligence. It's just your ability to figure out things, while wisdom comes more from, your experience, what things you have seen, the things that you know as a wise person. Charisma is anything that has to do with relating with other creatures, right? So let's go and see how we actually fill this up. Very super simple. You can do this in 2 ways. First way, if you're a big bowler crazy person, you roll for them, which means that you take 4 dices with 6 faces, so 6 faced dices, and you roll them. You roll these 4 6-faced dices, and you count only the 3 highest numbers. You drop out the weakest one. You don't care about that. You count those 3 highest numbers, you put them together, and that's the number that is essentially your ability number. It's not your ability bonus. Be careful, it's your ability number. You take these, you write them down in here, and you do this for all of these, each one. You roll the 4 dices of 6 faces, you count the 3 highest one, you drop out the weakest one, and you fill them up. That is for rolling. If you want to do point buy, in my opinion, point buy, it's something that you want to do if you already have a general idea what you would like to do with your character. So if you already know that you want to have a character that's super intelligent, you're going to use the point buy system that is explained in the player's handbook, which I recommend you to look for right now on the internet. Look for the player's handbook and then immediately after write player's handbook, D&D 5th edition, and then write any flip. Any flip will immediately give you a copy of the D&D 5th edition Player's Handbook for free that you can reference as we go through this together. Now, the first thing that I would ask you to do is that we go immediately into page 10, and on page 10 it will tell you what these numbers correspond to. So the numbers that you rolled or that you got with the point buy system that is also explained in the Player's Handbook. Point buy system meaning essentially that you got a number of points that you just decide to spend on these. So you essentially do not let chance decide these for you. You choose them by yourself. Essentially, once you get that done, you go on page 10, and page 10 will tell you each one of the numbers that you got, what it is essentially associated to. So what your bonus is. So for example, let's say that you got a 10 for strength. 10 is equal to plus 0. So it means that you're not either specifically strong or weak when it comes to strength. But it could also be that if you rolled for your checks, or in the point buy system, if you dumped some of your stats, you could have some negative bonuses. So essentially means that when you're going to be rolling for your skill and you roll the d20, whatever number comes from the dice, you either add or subtract the bonus. So if your bonus is negative, it means you subtract it from your roll. I believe it's going to be super fun for roleplay if you have a character that's actually weak in some abilities, like if you have a character that's kind of stupid because it has a lot of weak wisdom or weak intelligence, or for example, if it has negative strength bonus, that would be pretty cool. Like, oh, your gnome character has to lift up a rock to exit from the cave he's trapped in. Roll for athletics. Now, we will see what athletics is. It's a skill. We're going to figure it out in a second. He rolls for athletics, means that he rolls a d20, he sees the number comes out, let's say 8. He has a -1 to strength because his strength number was 9. Oh, I will try to lift the rock. My god, I broke my back, me hurts. You know, it would be very cool for roleplay in my opinion. You don't have to create the strongest character that's out there. Your strongest character might actually be the least funny one to play, in my opinion. Now, as we go forward, let's look at the skills. So now that we have whipped these out, we know what the numbers are, we know what the bonuses are, what do these actually reflect on my character? The first thing they reflect on is your motherfucking skills, alright? So what are you gonna do with your skills? Your skills is essentially everything that your character can do in game that is not affiliated with combat, right? So let's see some of them here. We have animal handling, we have athletics, deception, insight, intimidation. So you see, every time you'll be choosing to do something in the game, your dungeon master, in order to determine the success or failure of that action, is going to probably ask you to associate the choice of action that you chose to a skill. Now, how do you ensure that what you choose to do, succeeds? Well, you can be proficient in skills. Now, what determines your proficiency in skill, and what does that mean? Essentially, proficiency is some extra bonuses that you get to that specific skill. So you can perform all the skills. Your character, he's allowed to do all of these. He can check for survival, stealth, sleight of hand, religion, persuasion, all of them, right? But he will perform extra well in the ones he's proficient with, because he will be adding his proficiency bonus to them. Proficiency bonus, we will check that with classes, what it is. But talking about the skills, right? How do I learn what I am proficient in, right? Your race and your background will tell you what you're proficient in. So when you go choosing for your race and background is also going to tell you what type of skills you're proficient in. And also it's going to tell you, for example, your race, what languages you know. Elves, they know Elvish, Dwarves, they know Dwarvish, but I also think that elves have a very good education, so the race also grants them one extra language of your choice. Consult your DM on all the available languages in your region. Now, apart from that, you can now figure out what you're proficient in by choosing your race. Not only that, if you did your little point buy system here, or your roll for your ability, and you don't like some of these numbers, you want to pump them up, you want to get them nice and juicy and big, one thing you can do, you can pump them up with your race, because your race will also grant you ability score improvements, right? So it means that essentially you want, for example, play a wizard, right? But your intelligence is moderate, but you want to get it a little bit higher, then you can choose, for example, a high elf wizard, which is a sub-race of elves, which grants you a +1 to intelligence, right? So this essentially means that you will not be adding the +1 to your actual bonus. You never touch the bonus. The bonus is always the result of the ability number. So the +1 goes to your ability number. And as I said, on page 10, you can see that if by increasing by 1 or 2, depending on what your race is adding you as a bonus, you can see if you're getting to a higher group. So for example, if you're going from 11 to 12, 11 is +1, 12 is +2. So if you add one bonus to your intelligence that was previously 11 and becomes 12, you go from a +1 to intelligence to a +2. And you do that with race. So be careful what races you choose. Also, fun fact about races, Tasha's Cauldron of Everything, a new book of Dungeons & Dragons, pretty recently came out, and it gave out another option, which is custom lineage. Now, custom lineage is pretty cool. Essentially, it says that instead of getting like one of the many races that are available for Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition, you can create your own custom lineage. So essentially, it says here that you can choose for your first level character, you look like a humanoid, but you can determine your looks. You can choose your size. It needs to be between small and medium. You choose your speed, which is, you don't choose it itself. It tells you it's 30 feet. It tells you that you can have an ability score increase, and the ability score you choose increases by 2. So as we were saying before, races give you ability score improves. With the custom lineage, you can choose where you essentially put that bonus in. Also, it grants you a feat. On the player's handbook, there's a specific chapter about feats. And essentially, those are extra special abilities that you can get that can incredibly increase your powers of awareness, magic use, and other things like that. Apart from feats, there's also variable traits. So, for example, some characters are able to use dark vision or other stuff. If you choose the custom lineage, you either choose to have dark vision, you can choose proficiency in some other skills of your choice. As I was saying before, if you're proficient with a skill, not only you get the bonus that is affiliated to your ability score, you also get the bonus affiliated to your proficiency bonus that you get with your class. Now, another thing that you have is the languages. It tells you that you can essentially learn Common and one other language. It's pretty nifty in my opinion, as it gets you feat at level 1, which is super helpful, and also it gets you to choose where you want to put your ability score modifier of +2, which is pretty nifty. Now, as we're moving forward, we saw what a race can grant us. Now, let's look at what a class can grant us. First of all, classes are amazing for the fact that apart from, differently from race and background, as you level up, classes are going to give you more things. Most of the race some of the races do, but most of them, when you level up, they don't give you anything extra. Same for backgrounds. But classes, every time you level up, they give you something. New powers, new abilities, new crazy shit. Your health actually increases as you level up thanks to your class, because your class has an affiliated hit dice. What are hit dice? Let's go and check it out. On this box right here, it tells us to write down the hit dice. Every class has a specific hit dice. Now, when you're going to be looking at the player's handbook on classes, it's going to tell you which class you choose with hit dice it has, right? A hit dice, essentially, it's a type of the main Dungeons & Dragons dice that represents your health. It goes from a 6-faced dice to a 12-faced dice, right? So let's say, for example, you choose to be a wizard. A wizard has a 6-faced dice, hit dice, and plus you add your constitution bonus to your health. So a level 1 character, there is a rule. When you make your first level character, you count the max possible number that would come out of the roll of that hit dice. So in your case, it's a wizard. Instead of rolling the dice, you count the highest possible number, which is 6. And then to that 6, you add your constitution bonus. I don't think your wizard would have incredible constitution, so I would say it's going to be a +0, which means that your health at level 1 is going to be 6 probably. Now, as we move forward, your class also tell you what types of armor you have and what types of armor you're proficient with. Also shields. Now, why is this important? Because armor and shield grants you armor class. If you're not wearing anything, if you're butt naked in the wild, your armor class is flat 10 plus your dexterity bonus, right? Unless your race tells you otherwise. I believe the Dragonborns, for example, they have a specific bonus to their armor class because, they're scaling and stuff. Now, let's say that, for example, you're a cleric. Clerics are very good at being professional with medium and heavy armors. Now, some of the light armors grant you also an ability to add to the armor class, which is generally pretty low, like 12 or max like 13 or 14. You can also add your dexterity bonus, right? So, if you have a very good dexterity bonus, that could get almost to like an 18 if you have a +6 dexterity bonus. But, oh my god, that's insane actually, no. So, but the thing is, if you get good armor, like a cleric could, right? The strongest armor that you could get has an 18 armor class, which is pretty dope. You can also, if you're proficient in it, get a shield. So that's an 18 plus a 2, that's a 20 armor class at level 1. Incredible, right? Now, the thing is, why do you care about these numbers, right? What is it? Just like 20, 12, 18, what does it matter? The higher your armor class, lower are the chances the monsters are gonna attack you. Not attack you, but actually hit you. Before they deal damage, the monster actually has to hit you. In order to hit you, they roll to hit, and if their roll to hit is lower than your armor class, it means they miss or you block with your armor, which is pretty nifty and cool. Now, looking at your proficiency bonus, as I was saying earlier, the proficiency bonus is going to increase as you level up, and you add your proficiency bonus, as we were saying earlier, to all your skills. Now, what are the saving throws? Same thing with skills. For your saving throws, your class and your race essentially is going to tell you what are your saving throws, right? So monsters, in order to attack your, or other effects, like for example drinking poison, if you were to, for example, save yourself from, you drank some poison, let's see if you get poisoned or not, your dungeon master will probably ask you to do a constitution saving throw, which means that, let's see if the poison gets you or not. If you roll a good saving throw, so there's probably going to be a check, like a number that the DM has in his head that you need to beat in order to not get poisoned. You roll for your constitution saving throw. It means, as for the skills, you can perform all of these. To all of these, you add your affiliated bonuses from this 7 ability scores. But the cool thing is that if you're proficient in it, you also get your proficiency bonus in there, and that gives you higher chances of surviving the poison in your constitution saving throw, or dodging the fireball in your dexterity saving throw, for example. Now, we saw your health, we saw your armor class. For initiative, it's super fun. Initiative is whenever you start an encounter, let's see who actually goes first, right? So that's when the dungeon master will tell you, let's roll for initiative. The one with the highest initiative has the higher chances of starting first. Initiative, I believe, is your dexterity bonus plus your proficiency bonus. Now, apart from initiative, speed, it is the box right next to it. Speed is given to you while you look at your race. Now, we looked at race, we looked at class. Depending on your class is going to describe what the type of abilities and feats and like general things it grants you. It could grant you magic, it could grant you fighting abilities and stuff like that. You can look that more in detail on the player's handbook as you look at the different classes. Also, as you will level up, you will notice that some classes have subclasses, which is super interesting, but sometimes can be a little bit more complicated. So I'm definitely going to be making a video about subclasses soon. Now, your class also tells you what types of equipment you have. You can write down your equipment here, and also you can separately display here all the coins that you have, either copper, silver, or gold, or whatever else you have. Not only that, here on your other proficiencies and languages, you can write down all the languages you're proficient in, and also all the other proficiencies in general. Now, the feature and traits box over here is where generally you will write down what you're able to do as a race. So when the race tells you that you are able to do some specific things, like for example, if you're a dwarf, it's going to tell you you're resistant to poison, you will write that down here in the feature and traits. Now, this little box over here, this is pretty interesting. When do you face this little box over here? You face this box over here when you're dealing with your background. Now, let's look at background super quickly. When you choose your background, you're gonna essentially be granted some more skills you're proficient with. Super cool. So you would probably choose a background that gives you some skills that you wanted to, and also the background essentially it suggests you either some personality and traits, ideals, bonds, or flaws. Now, the thing is, you can choose to follow what the player's handbook gives you, or you can choose to choose your own. In my opinion, it's always best when you're making your character to choose your own, because it's going to be your character. You're going to roleplay, and you know, you don't want to have things that are preset for you from a book. You want to create your own imaginary story. Always consult your DM, right? Because you don't want to build a 15 pages or more backstory, and then the DM is going to have a hard time implementing in its story because it has nothing to do with what he has created until now. So, I believe that we've seen pretty much everything that you would need to know to get your character started up and ready to go. We looked at how to get your ability scores ready, we looked at the skills, saving throws, we looked at the races and what they do on your ability scores, we looked at classes, we looked at your background, and we essentially just got you acquainted with everything that is on this page. Now, that was a general overview of all the things that you could be facing on a character sheet for Dungeons & Dragons. Soon, I'm going to release also another video that is going to be focused on the character sheet, where I'm going to be filling it out step by step, and I'm going to show you how I roll for all the stats, and also I'm going to show you the references from the player's handbook on what I am looking for to create my character. And it's going to be essentially an example on how I create my character step by step. Thank you for watching. Remember to like and subscribe.